Hey everyone, and welcome back. We have a task that I have been putting off for quite some time. Believe it or not, I have not even put in the ground my cherry tomatoes, my determinate tomatoes, or my peppers, or my cooking basil. I am so behind. I've been focusing so much on flowers that I haven't had time to do the tomatoes. And I tried to stick with the vegetables that we would be using the most of compared to years past. And I really scaled down and I still just couldn't find the time. And let me tell you, these cherry, or as you know them as indeterminate tomatoes, are getting way too tall. So I decided that I am going to move them into a spot where I originally was not planning on having them. So over here, I have 2 cattle panels I previously, for the past 2 years, been growing my cherry tomatoes on, and they have been working wonderfully. However, because of my new sprinkler system, I noticed that once the wobblers would start going off and those vines were starting to really get big, I mean, it created a whole entire tomato cave last year. It was really cool to walk underneath it, that the water probably would not be hitting the back 2 beds. And I did not want that to happen. So we have been fortunate enough that for whatever reason, when I first built these garden beds 3 years ago, the sun would stop hitting right where the fence line is, and all this sunny space right here was complete shade. So I'm not quite sure what has happened over the 3 years, but good news for me, because I am going to build some galvanized raised garden beds that I purchased super cheap off of Amazon. So I'm hoping they're going to work out great. They're only a foot tall, but I believe they're 6 feet wide. We are going to remove the cattle panels over here. We're going to bring them back into the sunny area, and I'm going to try and keep the same width. We're going to take the T-posts out, and then we're going to zip tie them back together once I have all of the dirt in and everything secured. And we're going to grow our tomatoes outside of my fenced area. Now, it doesn't really matter because the chipmunks are notorious for getting into them anyways, and I don't think the bunny is going to be getting up there. The bunny has been eating all of my zinnias though planted up front, and I've been trying to shoo it away, but that's a whole nother story. So we are going to be putting these galvanized beds together. We're going to get some tomatoes in. I got a lot of soil to move over here. It's 90 something degrees, and it is just not something that I really want to be doing today, but we must, because I need my deck back. I need all of my milk jugs off. Those still have to get all potted up and planted. And then the tomatoes and peppers are just really struggling because they're still confined into the original solo cups in the 4-inch depth planters. So let's get to it. I'm going to build everything in the shade, and then I'll move everything over to the sun. And I was kind of hoping that maybe around the 3 o'clock time, I can start moving the dirt over, and it's going to be a lot more shaded over here because we're going to be hitting another tree line. So fingers crossed I don't sweat it out too much today. So let's get to it. All right, I'm sorry the lighting is not going to be the greatest, but this girl needs to get in the shade. So again, this is just a really cheap galvanized bed. I'll put the link in the description below. I was thinking, you know what, next year I probably am going to scratch the vegetables, even though I love growing them. I just don't have time to keep up with all the flowers, and we're going to be having even more flowers next year. Anyways, I just was thinking I could maybe try and grow sweet peas on this next year, because that is something that I really would love to add one day. And then, so if you have any sweet pea suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Maybe some favorite varieties, because I would love to give those a try, and hopefully I can get some more cool flowers in. So this is going to be super fun, and it seems super simple. So I'm going to take this apart and see if there's any type of screwdriver that I need, and we're going to put these together. Again, I believe they are 2 feet wide, 6 feet long, and a foot high, if I remember correctly. So be right back. So I have my handy dandy screwdriver, and when I say this is as cheap as it come, it is as cheap as it come, because these are super duper lightweight, and I really hope they can hold the cattle panel, but we will figure this out. So it says we have an inside and an outside, and we have some brackets so it doesn't bow, which is always really good. So you know what, I'm going to give this a whirl. We're going to speed through this, and then I'll let you know how they are after I put them together. So luckily that wasn't as bad as I thought. It's a little bit wobbly, not the sturdiest material, but hey, it's gonna do. So I moved one over there. I'm gonna get the next one done off camera, and then I'll show you how everything is gonna look. Probably today I'm just gonna fill it with some dirt. With all of my other garden beds, I filled them with some like old branches and logs, so I didn't have to use so much dirt in those because those were 18 inches high. These are about 12, and I still have so much 50-50 mix up front, and I still have a ton of peat moss and I have a ton of perlite. So you know what? I'm just gonna go full on with these with just those 3 items. I'm not gonna be adding any branches or logs to take up some of this space. And then hopefully tomorrow or tonight, or maybe next weekend, I can get my husband to help me take the cattle panels off and get the T-posts over so then I can get those moved on over to the new tomato beds. But for today, if I even get to that point, I'm just gonna at least put the tomatoes into the beds because I do like to plant them nice and deep, give them a good water. And then on the outsides, I was planning on putting a couple of the peppers and some of my basil. So all of my vegetables will just be in one nice little area because those are the 3 things that we use the most here at the house. So I'm gonna go off camera and I will show you what it looks like in a few seconds. So we have them in place right now. So now is the time to do the hard part, and that is moving all of the 50-50 mix in. So I'm gonna do a few wheelbarrows full, and then I'll add in some peat moss and some perlite for drainage, and then I'll mix it in as they're in the beds. Now we are hitting some shade right now from the pine trees, but once it passes the canopy here, it gets some more afternoon sun, which is really good. And it will have full sunshine right here, basically from sun up until about right now it's around 2 o'clock, and then around 3:30 or so until the sun goes down, it will get sun again. But you know what? They have been doing fantastic here for the past 2 years. When I had them on the cattle panels there, they'll get the same amount of sun and shade, and so I'm just going to stick with it because it has had no complaints whatsoever. So I'm going to get to it, and we'll see how long this part takes, and if I can get at least the soil done before Monster Man wakes up, we are going to be good to go. Once I have a little bit in, I'm going to move in some of my tomatoes, and I heavily plant them, mind you. I put them very close together, so it just makes one big tomato canopy. I have Super Sweet 100s, Sun Golds, and Yellow Pear. They are all saved seeds, and I've been saving seeds for the past 4 years or more, maybe, possibly, because these seeds actually originated from my farm share. I learned from my farm share when I knew it was going to be my last year there, when I did my own garden beds and the farm share. I saved their seeds so that way I could plant them here at my backyard, and so I feel like it helps them adapt to the climate over the years, or at least that's what I read, and I'm hoping. I grow them for all of my coworkers too, and they're hoping that I have some leftover ones so then they can have some more when I go back to school on Monday. And then the rest of my determinate tomatoes are going to go in these little pockets in the corner over here, in just some big gallon buckets that I had left over from some plants. So I'm gonna get these going, and then I'll let you know how long it takes. And needless to say, the whole point of that is I'm going to fill it up halfway, and then I'm going to put the solo cups in where I plan on planting them. So then this way I know how much more dirt I have, because I want to bury them nice and deep. So I'll probably bury the cups and then pull them out and then put them back into the ground that way. And I'm hoping to do like a nice little rainbow effect of all the super sweets together on both sides, and then we'll go into our orange Sun Gold, and then we'll go into the yellow pear. So let's get to it. So I have 2 wheelbarrows full of 50-50 mix in this bed. So I'm going to add some peat moss and perlite. And no, I don't measure. I just measure with love and basically just eyeball everything until it looks good. Usually I would mix it in the wheelbarrow, but you know what? I'm just going to do my best. And then I'm going to top it off with a little bit more of my 50-50 mix, and then we'll work on the other side. So right now I'm just going to mix them up, and then I'm going to take the tomatoes out of their solo cups and bury them, and then I'll come back with another probably like half of a load or 3/4 of a load. We'll mix some of this in all together, and then I'm gonna dump it, and hopefully it will top it off. It's gonna settle over the next few days. We just don't have any rain in sight, I think, until maybe Wednesday or Thursday. It's been a long dry spell for a while. So once that settles, I still have plenty more. I can just top it off another weekend or so if needed. And then if I have time, as I mentioned, we're going to add some peppers and basil. And I have all of those marigolds that we winter sowed. I totally forgot. So we're going to add some of those in as well. So I'm going to get mixing and take you along, and then we will do the other side. So everything is mixed in, and I totally forgot that I need to add my garden tone, which smells awful, by the way. And I also have my worm casting. So I'm going to add that to every single hole and then bury these in. And normally what I would do is ahead of time, I would take all of these extra side stems off. And then I like to bury it so nice and deep. That way it would scab over before planting it out, but we haven't had time. I mean, these already have little tomatoes on them, so that's how late we are. It is going to be the second weekend of June, so usually I have these in by Memorial Day, so we're a couple weeks behind. So I am going to just take the cup out, and it creates a nice little hole. I forgot to take the clear cup out, so I gotta get that. And we're just gonna sprinkle in some worm castings in garden tone and then pop it back in. And I'm gonna just sprinkle also some worm castings up and down as well, so that way when I plant out my marigolds and peppers, in case if I forget, it'll have some. So we have our garden tone. And I mean, the roots are just circling and swished in here. But everything looks fantastic. So I'm just going to take some of these little side shoots off. And we're going to pop it in. Maybe a smidge deeper. There we go. And then these are going to be leaning right now, but the cattle panel will be here. And then I train them to weave in and out of the cattle panel until they reach the top. And sometimes when they're like 3/4 of the way up, I'll take some garden twine, like the green tomato twine, and I'll just wrap it around and corral it to the cattle panel so it's not blowing everywhere. And then it kind of makes like a really nice canopy. And then the tomatoes usually just end up going upwards at some point, but it works out really, really good. So I'm just going to keep on doing this, and then we will get the next round of soil in. So again, I like to go nice and deep. This is super loose soil because it is just so dry. Take a couple of these little side shoots off. Go. Give it some of that nutrients it so badly needs. And then while I'm doing it, I also like to loosen up the bottom of the tomato of the roots, so then hopefully they won't be so root bound. Look at the roots. They have filled so much. I am honestly shocked that these are still upright. You also have the option if you don't want to plant so many like I am going overboard. I mean, yes, blight and airflow are very important. So you could probably, in reality, only do like 4 or 5 on each side, and you would be having plenty. But I just have so many, and you know what? I just let them go. So pruning is really important, and I do just let them go. I don't take any side shoots off or the suckers, any of that. I just let them grow and let them be. right, we are done. I'm gonna top these off and then I'm gonna head on over to the other side. I'm gonna skip that part, so I'll show you what it looks like when it's all said and done. So great news, I have all the tomatoes in, all the dirt in. I just have to get my peppers in and my very, very sad looking basil that I have neglected, and it's half dead, but it still smells delicious. And it's just missing its nutrients and there's a weed growing out of it. But nonetheless, I'm gonna plant it and see if anything happens. And then worst case scenario, I'll just have to grab some at the greenhouse next door. And then also wait until you see this. So this is my French double dwarf marigolds that I was recommended to plant with my tomatoes and my vegetables. So we winter sowed them, and as you can see, they look fantastic. And we did this back on April 11th, and I still have yet to plant, like, I would say 90% of my winter sown milk jugs. But I moved them to the shade because they're getting a little bit too hot and scorched on my deck, and I really need my deck back. So I want to show you what the roots look like, and I'm going to tease these apart after, and we are going to plant them because they are probably, I'm assuming, really root bound. If I can get them out. Oh yeah, look at those roots. So I'm going to get this nice and damp. We will tease them apart, and then I'm going to intertwine them. So I have 4 peppers on this side, 3 on that side. I'm going to try and see if I can bring my basil back to life. And then I will plant this along the edges as well. I have other marigolds, but I might just put them in pots just around my deck. I still have to plant my larger tomatoes, and I still have to plant out my cucumbers. That I'll probably just do another time because I have to redo the soil in the pots. And I put them on the corners of the garden beds, so then that way they can climb up this like really cool trellis that I have. So I'm gonna get this going, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. So don't mind the mess behind me, but I wanted to show you the roots of these pots. So as you can see, my pepper's been in there for quite some time because it already has a little red bell pepper starting, but we are using our Bootstrap Farmer pots, and they have been in here for so long, but they just look phenomenal. They're not circling yet, even though I had them in here for so long and had 2 of them in here. They are looking great. So again, I'm going to dig a hole, and I'm going to put some of the garden tone and worm castings in there. And then I just wanted to show you also how I tease apart the winter sown marigolds, just in case if you were wondering how I do so. So I put this here. My kids, I'm sure, are going to take it apart, but I just tore it in half, and then I just use the hunk a chunk method, where I'm just going to tease them again. And then I am going to plant out a chunk. So even though there's 4 of them in here, I'm still going to plant them out like this. So I am just going to put them in and pop them in just as so. So all you have to do is just tease this mat apart. Usually I don't let them sit in here this long, but they'll still be fine. Just give them a good water. And I do need to fertilize next weekend too. So I'll make sure that I hit this bed really good, since they have been lacking some nutrients for a long time. But I'm going to add some extra basil in here, but I was just so happy with these Bootstrap Farmer. They're so easy to take everything out. I just have to squish them a little bit on the sides, and my peppers are looking phenomenal with 2 of them in here. So this is going to be a red bell pepper. Again, these are saved seeds from my farm share, and every year I just make sure that I choose 1 pepper. I let it get fully ripened so it's nice and red, and then I use that one to save my seeds, and they're super easy. And definitely check out the videos I have of saving tomato seeds and pepper seeds, so you can do it as well, especially if you find something that you like and you don't want to buy seeds. So I'm going to keep on going. Unfortunately, it's 4 o'clock, so I got to get the little guy. So I have a pool out for him to stay cool in because it's super duper hot. But yeah, almost done, so I'm pumped. And then I'll show you later on in a couple of weeks once we get the cattle panels up and they're climbing it. So it'll probably be like a good 3 weeks or so. But I still have little tomatoes growing, so I'm super excited to start harvesting them. I just feel super behind this year, especially with my vegetables, because the flowers just got the full attention of me. So almost done, and then I'm gonna call it quits for the day because dang is it hot out. But thanks for tuning in and sticking along and seeing what I have been up to. All right, and here is the final product. I still have a ton of tomatoes over there, but no worries. So we have our marigolds and peppers and basil and tomatoes all intertwined. And as you can see, I have little baby tomatoes, lots of little flowers coming. Definitely need some nutrients, so I was happy about adding the garden tone. And then once the cattle panel is in, these will be intertwined and much happier, but I'm just super excited to get this project done. It has been much, much needed. So if you would like to stay updated and see how they look like in a few weeks, make sure you hit like and subscribe and hit that bell button. And I will see you all next time. Happy gardening. Bye.